Rajesh said about command seating. So what you see here is number one player by volume, F24, and number two player is again by volume, F24. It's 1,398 millimeter A-side is the command seating that we call, but that's not sufficient. You need to have the angle to see it, right? So that's where XUV 3XO scores, and it matches with XUV 700, its big brother. So you get more. Not only that, it's a real SUV. In the real SUV, we say ground clearance, we say many, many things. But what it stands out is for the approach angle, which is similar to its big brother XUV 700. And the tire OD which Pratap-san talked about, R17, we get it. It really looks cool when you see this vehicle. The bonnet length, it gives two things to you. It's the SUV look and the safety that you see it. But keep in watch, you follow my presentation, you will see some more things there in the safety. Departure angle, it's unbeatable. This departure angle, with approach and departure angle, you can go anywhere in the mall. Don't worry, you don't have to spend any single paisa, it will not hit. Water wading depth, of course. When you have this much of SUVs, we care for our customers and their children and the family. In the safety, a lot of people struggle. That's because a typical car of this size, when it travels at 64 km/h, it has 20-ton load. Don't worry about it. And then it has 38 G load that's coming to the chest. But what you do, you can do clever engineering. You make this zone is crushable, and this zone is completely uncrushable. Not a single millimeter you are allowed to deform it. So after the crash, you can open the door and you can come out. That's the policy. Same way on the side. So we use two different things in order to achieve that. You see it, we choose high strength material. In the high strength material, you choose the bottom one for the crash. So it crashes and it stops. And then you see the blue color material, that's a very high advanced strength, it doesn't deflect, it saves you. And that's the beauty of it. So that's 45%. But for symbolic reasons, I have colored it, but it's more color than. Is it sufficient enough? Not yet. You have rollovers. You have to build in inbuilt safety in the car. So what we did, you have to make the complete BIW is very stiff. Because it's SUV, and you need to safety, you need performance, you need ride and handling. We introduced 5,328 weld points between the sheet metal. So you make it a single weld sheet metal body. Another is 45-meter length of structural sealer. We put it in the sheet metal. And third is all the joineries. We make it perfect. So you get an excellent torsional stiffness and bending stiffness. It's unmatched results that we got. Okay, you got an excellent BIW. So what do you do? How do you build the car? You have to put the seat belts and airbags inside so that you sit in like a lounge in the car. You are absolutely comfortable. The exterior is so stiff for you. Nothing is going to happen in the event of a collision. But inside you are sitting in a rose pedals. You get a 4-disc brakes. You know the meaning of disc brakes. It's very short braking and very efficient braking in mud, dirt, wet conditions. So we give you all disc brakes in all across vehicles. Okay, you have disc brake, you have a stiff body. What do you do for dynamics? So we thought about it, and then we said we completely redo the ESP calibration. What you know in the car, you have a similar sensor like aeroplane. So you need to measure the roll, you need to measure the pitch, you need to measure the yaw, you need to measure the lateral acceleration, you need to measure the linear acceleration. So the sensor that measures is called inertial sensor, which is there in the aircraft, which is also there in the ESP 9.3. It's a very advanced version called SMI 750 series, which we introduced in XUV 700, we brought it here. It's very quick. The moment you are going on a corner, if the rear is moving away, it immediately senses it and brakes the tires and puts back into the track. Of course, not for adventurous, but normal driving. So that's the much more that we bring in. It's a new, totally new system that matches to the XUV 700. Drive of your life. Okay, you have dynamics, but what if you don't have a ride? So Rajesh said, Rajesh is very sensitive to ride. He always sits in the second row and then gives me a job. Will you please solve this problem? Before you put the ride, you have to put the powertrains. And it's an absolutely stunning powertrain, 130 bhp, with 230 Newton meter torque, TGDI, best in class. The known powertrains in this segment is only 170 Newton meters, and this is 230. But our team has put up a boosting of another 20 Newton meters, that comes 250 Newton meters. In order to match such a very heavy torque, we went to ICIN. We took a 6-speed automatic transmission. With 250 Newton meter, they have to have a wide damper. Normally, the dampers in the automatic transmission, when you lock it, they absorb the vibrations. It is 25-degree lock to lock. We went for 55-degree. So you lock in very early because the engines at low speeds give torsional vibrations more higher, right? You lock in very early, you get very good drivability. You drive the 80 of this, and you will realize this, what I'm saying. It's beautiful. The advanced neutral control gives you the best neutral feeling for this car. 6-speed ICIN automatic transmission. Also, we have 6-speed auto shift plus that comes with our manual transmission integrated with automatic. That comes with 300 Newton meters. Coupled with these engines and transmissions, our powertrain team produced such a beautiful cover. And then I just put in the last minute, what is the difference in the torque curve between number 1 and number 2? I took the number 1 and I found it's 47% to the dotted line, 170 Newton meter versus 250 Newton meter. I'm now not sure whether it is a comparison, but you drive the car and you will tell me that, Velu, this is correct. The other thing that you notice is at 1500 Newton meters, you get the peak torque and wide range of constant torque curve. So when you drive, you feel this drive performance. Of course, the disc brakes and ESP help you. With 4.4 seconds in 0 to 60, you reach this. That's because of the constant torque curve. When you have such performance, you need ride. Of course. In the platform, we had the widest spring span that helps you balance the roll. Always the spring stiffness is increased to control the roll of the vehicle. You go over the corner, you go over the wavy roads, you don't want the body to be moving around all the time. So you keep increasing the stiffness of the spring and damper resistive forces. We thought about it and then said, we need to do something about this in this segment because we care for the kids and the family who travel in this car. As you see, the conventional damper which is there in all the cars, the body control is on the lower side and the ride control is in the mid and high side. To control the body, if I increase the resistive forces, the conventional damper is keep increasing, so it becomes hard for the ride. The only way is I have to find a solution where I increase in the low frequency and at high frequency I keep it constant. So that technology is called multi-tuned variable valve that we introduced. And in the center of the valve, we put some holes. You bleed very fast as you increase the speed. That's called central land. So the two technologies are combined together to give you that ride. So you drastically reduce the operating forces. You see from the blue curve to the yellow curve, the resistive forces are drastically reduced. So when you ride in the car, the body roll is absolutely controlled and you get a plush ride. Of course, with the 230 Newton meter you can ride. the body roll is absolutely under control, you get the best ride. We completely recalibrated the suspension system to get this technology into this segment. This is the first car in this segment gets this technology in the suspension because we care for you. Next. So you have all the drivability, torque, stiffness, safety, and all the stuffs. But when I'm going with my wife, she says, you are not in the, you are in always office. At least let us talk. And when you talk, at least she should understand what I am talking, right? So we found out, we are working with musicians and doctors. And one interesting thing we learned is the male voice is 400 hertz and the female voice is 600 hertz. Obviously, you can hear her, but I cannot, she cannot hear me because my frequency is bass. So we said we have to eliminate all these frequencies because they are interfering from the panels, the transmissions, and the engine blocks. So we found a technology called sound barrier. And in the sheet metal panels, you put butylene pairs. That's called panel tamping. And then finally, we found there were small vibrations. We put mass tamping. So we completely killed it. And then you see the green color. Oh, that looks quite cool, is it? Then I said, OK, what do you do in the low idle? We have to match it to XUV 3XO gasoline. So we brought it to 39 dB at low idle. It is not shown here. It's incredible. You drive the car, you will realize. But there is a question asked about that green color. There is a dip. That's only the chime. We follow the legislation. So when a chime comes, the curve drops. Otherwise, the right side curve tells you how easily you can converse inside the car at very high speeds, and the other person is able to understand it, what you are talking. So you get ride, you get safety, you get quietness, and then you want space, right? And it's very important that we put the space where you want. 2,600 millimeter, and Mr. Adil will tell me it is 65% of the wheelbase, the total vehicle length of 4,000 millimeters. But look at the competition, what they are doing. It's 62.5%. You may think it is only 2.5% difference, but 2.5% of 4,000 millimeter is 100 millimeter. 100 millimeter, you get it in the cabin, right? And look at the couple distance, 800 millimeters between the front row and the second row. The second row person always looking for, they have to reserve for the space, right? In all the cars. In our car, you don't require to reserve it because we give you more. How do we do that? Is this. Look at the second row space. Anything between roughly 40, 50 millimeters to 25 millimeters, you get it in the second row. And the beauty is, look at the hip room of the second row. You don't require to clash each other when the three people are sitting. It's way above 80 millimeter to 100 millimeters. The hip room and the second row leg room, of course, we beat in the first row. Yeah? Okay. Last thing. Okay. Cabin space is over. So what do you do for the leg passenger? The luggage space. It's 295. I want to be very honest. Up to the deck, you load it. Afterwards, can you load it, friend, my dear friend? When you break it, it will fall on your kit? No. But there are some people who keep loading up to the roof as if it is stacked like a concrete, and then say, my value is this and that. But I want to be very authentic, and I say the first value is only 295. And I think we are better. But honestly, we did a redesign of the interior trims and the way the dicky packaging is done, and we got out more space there, and therefore we are now able to perform better than the competition. May I request for an AV, please? I think this answered all the questions on the dicky space, boot space, and more. This is the disruptive pillar. Once you square it and give more, we want to take it to disruptive pillar. It's not more, but it is disruptive. This is ADAS. Simply to say, we are bringing multiple technologies. The moon is away 400,000 kilometers. For the light to go there, it takes 1 second. But the radars that are present here is the radio waves which travel at light speed, and it can detect up to 180 meters. When you are traveling at 150 kilometers per hour, per second you are traveling 40 meters. So you have to detect what is ahead of you and sense it, and you have to brake it. If you have to do it in automatic emergency braking. That's a radar that we have put in here. So you have a Mandor radar and Mobileye camera. The Mobileye camera again has got a 180 meters width, and it is measuring continuously, and it is giving the automatic emergency braking in the event of a forward collision, warning, and then lane departure, assist lane departure warning, all of them are there. This is the camera and radar function. There is a 4 surround view camera, and it assists you to navigate all the parking and blind view. And there is 4 ultrasonic sensors. And these ultrasonic sensors are just 1 meter. So you go around the corner and you want to park it, then it gives you an alarm if there is something. You don't require to watch it. So we have multitudes of technologies. You have ultrasonic sensors for very low distances, very high distances. You have a radar and camera. And then throughout your car, you have 4 cameras, SVS. Absolutely state-of-the-art system that we have in XUV 3XO, we brought it here. So this is, I think, disruptive, right? Okay, not only that. This is the big thing that we wanted to see. You remember about quietness that we talked about it? How long you will be conversing? You want to put a song and listen to it, right? But you can also do one thing, you have 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz frequency. Somebody is fond of very high frequency, somebody is fond of very low frequency, somebody is fond of mid frequency. That is what they call it as, 3-band. You can adjust this frequency amplitude. But we give you 9. Because you want to listen to the Hindi songs, right? You need 9, not the Hollywood songs which you can handle with the 3. The 9 equalizers, you can operate all the frequencies you adjust. This needs an amplifier, so as we said, we will put the amplifier. So we put a dedicated amplifier, unlike other competitions where they connected to the head unit, infotainment unit, and from there they call it as branded audio. Well, I'm not sure about that. But when you listen to this branded audio, you will see these 9-band equalizer. The other thing I am proud of is I like bass. I want the bass enhancer. So I got it separately. And my wife said, no, you have to do 6 modes. Then we went and figured it out. Then you can do studio. Then you can do sonic expands, and the music is expanding. And then we said in the ambience, stage, party, retreat, and wide. You can click any one of them, and you can listen to these songs, and you can adjust this equalizer. Do you really think this music system is there in this segment in any of the car? Of course, I think it is a disruptive, right? At least put your hands together and say it is disruptive. Okay, we talked about 360-degree surround view system, and really in the car you drive it, it's exactly same as XUV 3XO. You really feel it. You get the full close-up view of the car around it, and with a 10.25-inch infotainment, it's really, really cool to drive this car. This is the beautiful thing. We said the coupled distance of 800 millimeters, right? Between the face of the first row to the second row. We said our sunroof length has to be more than that, because then both of them can see not the moon, but the stars. Correct? Because we want to enjoy the drive. So we brought 940 millimeter in this segment. There is no comparison. It's only disruption in this segment. And you see the width, all the kids can see it. So that's the sky roof. You want to talk to your parents, you need connectivity, and you need remote control. And of course, you are bored with your family, you can talk to Alexa. And 80 other features. Now I'm tired, and I have to call Niall. You agree with me? With so much disruption and more, at what price you are giving it to me? That's your question, right? So may I request Niall to come and give the ticker tape. Now you can start the ticker tape, and of course the cars will pick up and will relay. And thank you so much.
Just want to do a quick check. Folks at the back, you can hear me. And if any of you need some water or a cold towel, the staff available to help. I know it's a little bit warm here. Sorry about that. Before I get going, just a quick shout out to my Nashik team members and the PD team members who've been there. Tremendous amount of work over the last couple of years to get this product out to you guys. Our union is here as well. Thank you. Thank you again for all the good work. So, Velu and Pratap, thank you for all the goodies. Now my job is to kind of put it all together into variants that we want to put out there. And we were thinking, what's the right way to call this segment? We're calling it segment shakers. And if you remember, this is the compact SUV, the CSUV segment we're looking at. I know at this point in time, you might say I'm being a little bit presumptuous by saying that we're going to absolutely shake up the segment. I'm hoping by the time we are done with these slides, it won't be so presumptuous for you guys. Let's see how it goes from here. OK, so the first segment. This is the segment I call them the promotions or the double promotions. The folks who already have a hatchback, they want to upgrade to an SUV. And you know, in school, you hear about double promotions. Increasingly, we are seeing a lot of people who are going straight first-time buyers who want an SUV as well. And what do they want? They want a real, authentic SUV with the right power, the right ground clearance, and the right oomph, but without breaking the bank. This is just getting into the segment to that extent as well, right? So for them, we offer MX-1. This is our first variant. This is our entry-level variant, but if you see the stats, doesn't look like anything like an entry-level variant. You have, like what Velu said, 82 kilowatts and 200 Newton meter of torque, but we're not compromising on the fuel efficiency. One of the best fuel efficiencies out there, so it's not going to burn a hole in your wallet. At the same time, we're giving you a true, authentic SUV experience with the forward visibility, which Velu talked about, and the best-in-class occupant space. And safety is always on top of what we're trying to do here. The ESP is in there. It's standard across the entire portfolio that we have. All the variants are going to have it. 6 airbags, standard across the portfolio as well. And 4 disc brakes, again, standard across all the different variants. And more, if you look at it. In addition to that, we are also giving a rear USB-C charger, which is increasingly becoming a standard for us. We have micro-hybrid start-stop as well to give a fuel efficiency boost. Now, as we thought about it, we said, what do we compare this to? And we've looked at, like Velu said, we're looking at the #1 CSUV player in the market by volume and a #2 CU SUV player in the market. I'll just put it out there and I'll explain this a little bit of a data sheet. I'll explain it on the slide and then I'll go through the rest of it fast. The #1 player, if you look at it, anywhere you see a blue font, that means they are best in class. So if you see the first one, we have 82 kilowatt. The #1 player has 88 kilowatt hour. Now I flip it around, we have steering modes. Competition in the space doesn't have steering modes, and so on and so forth. Anywhere you see a white on our side with the X, it means we don't have that feature, but competition has that feature as well. So you get a quick sense on what it looks like. But really, if you look at it, you see a 1X against us, and there's a whole bunch of X's. These are essentially the entry-level variant of competition. So you're looking at our entry level against the entry level. This is the first one at a 8.14 lakh price point. I'll go to the second one. There you see it. Yeah, sometimes it's tough to look at this. It's a whole bunch of X's, a couple of tick marks against it, but really they don't hold anything against us overall. They're at 8.34 lakhs. That's the 2 variants, again, entry-level variants you have in the space as well. You guys want to take a guess on what our numbers are going to look like? Any guesses? OK. That's the price point we are at. So I started by saying segment shakers. I hope this gives you a tease of what we are going to show in the next 15, 20 minutes. All right, I'm just giving a couple of seconds for folks to get a picture. So that's our XUV 3XO MX-1 gives you true SUV swagger at all. Now I'll move on. Now, you're in a really good job. You've got a year-end bonus. You want to spend a little bit more than what the entry level looks like. We created an MX2 Pro for you. Comes with a sunroof, an electric sunroof. And from this point in time, a sunroof is standard. Of course, we have pano later. Comes with a 26-centimeter infotainment system, remote keyless entry, and steering audio control. And again, this is just a step up from our entry level. And in addition to that, you see front arm rest storage. This again is a critical want and ask we have seen from the segment coming in as well, storage space to that extent. We have 60/40 split rear seat as well, and the rest of the features are standard. We've taken a similar segment. We picked the variant, the first variant in the number one player who has a sunroof. So we're able to make the right comparison against that. You see the rest of the features in there. I'm not going to go into it to that extent. And they don't have the storage space I talked about. They don't have the 60/40 rear split seat as well. Comes at 10.29 lakhs. Let's see what the number two player looks like. Again, doesn't score very well at this point in time. If you see across the board, actually we found it hard to find a variant in the right price point for us to compare on number two player. We really couldn't find a variant with a sunroof to come in at this space, right? Again, MX2 Pro is our sunroof starting point. Any guesses? Sunroof at 9 lakhs. And it's not just sunroof. You have a whole bunch of things we have added to it as well. So, but this is our first sunroof variant. Now I want to tell you a little bit of a story. The story is about the 80 variant. About 16 years ago, I just moved back to India after a long stint abroad, got used to driving an 80 vehicle, came back here, wanted to buy a vehicle, and I had to buy an 80 at that point in time. And the only 80 vehicle you could get, the price point was 2x of what I would afford at that point in time. Young guy, young family, just about to have kids. And I always thought an 80 car should be accessible to the demographic. Young family, just starting, want a comfortable ride with your wife and kids. So for me, this is my favorite variant. I know you have, all of us have our favorites, but for me, this is the right one. I kind of go back to that time 16 years ago and thought about what I would do. This is the variant we have. And again, it's an automatic. The rest of the features are the same to that extent. This is our first 80 variant, and like Velu-san talked about, this is the true 80 that we have in the gasoline space. 12.29, the number one player. The number two player in the space. Again, I'm picking up the 80. So unfortunately, for me to pick an 80 variant in competition, I really have to go up on the price point because that's where that first 80 starts. 12.29. The number two player has an 80 at 11 lakhs. I won't say any guesses again. I think you have a drift of where we are going with each of the variants now. All right, without much ado. That's our first 80 vehicle. That's the vehicle I would have bought 16 years ago. That is the vehicle I would have bought 16 years ago. So, now, we're going to raise the heat on competition. Let's keep moving, okay? MX3. MX3, we upgrade the screen on the infotainment. This is now full HD screen, 26 centimeters. We add wireless Android audio and wired CarPlay, and we bring cruise control to the mix as well. Again, features which you typically see in the mid to the late part of the segment, and I haven't even gotten started on our AX series at all at this point in time. And that's not all. You go on, you have the rest of the features you see as well. You have a wireless charger we are putting in there as well, so wireless charger starts at this point in time. But this really is a cruise control variant. This is our first cruise control vehicle we are putting out there in the MX category. We want to show a little bit of an AV at this point in time, just to give you guys a glimpse of what we are showing here. With that, can we share the AV, please? So that's the MX3 variant. Like I said, cruise control, wireless charger. I'll just quickly put out the competition as well. The number one player in the space. Now I'm coming back because the previous one I showed was an 80, which is why I went up in price. But this is at 10.29, has an electric sunroof, but actually does not have the cruise control. But I had to figure out a variant which works for me in that sense overall. The number 2 player, again, tough one to compare, doesn't have an electric sunroof, doesn't have a cruise control, but this is the mid-range of the segment we have here. We are at 19.49. So that's a cruise control vehicle, compact SUV, starting at 9.49, sub 10 lakhs product. We think this is going to shake the market up as well. Okay, I'm going to switch gears here. I'm going to the next set of variants that we have. This is the one which Velu-san talked about. The and more pillar we have, which are tech or sci-fi. This segment, while they want a car which is good, well equipped, but it's also a segment which has fully embraced technology. It's not something which helps them. It is just a part of their life. This is how they live. Technology is part of what they do. Technology is what helps them stay in control. So for us, this is the AX series we have. You're very much familiar with the AX series. This is the connected car variants that we're going to come up with at this point in time, the Adrenox piece. So the first one for this segment, who live and breathe technology, is our AX5 variant. Comes with Adrenox, very much loud feature set we put on the 700, comes on the AX5 on 3XO here. 80 plus features, Alexa built-in, online navigation, and now we have 2 HD 26 centimeters, but our IC cluster now is also 26 centimeters as well. Dual zone climate control comes standard from now on, and then you get the infinity LED tail lamps coming together. That's our AX5 variant. This is literally, in some ways, the heart of the segment from a volume perspective. This is where most of the volume happens in the CSUV segment. I've put out most of the things there. You also get auto headlamps, auto wipers. You get leather steering and gear knob in the space. From now on, that becomes standard. I'm putting out the competition. Now, mind you, the competition I'm putting out still does not have a connected car system in here, but I have to find what is the most volume mid-end segment, which is because RAX5 is in the right segment. That's at 12.29. They have drive modes. They have 360 camera, which we don't have. But again, I'm going to a certain price point to make the comparison at this level. Still have electric sunroof, 12.29. Player 2, tough comparison. Honestly, if you look at it, whole bunch of crosses. I was pushing the team very hard to find me a variant, but this is really their volume variant they have, the number 2 player, at 11.49. These are AX5, starts with the Adrenox, 10.69. I want to stop here. We want to give some thrill. So the next variant for us is all about giving thrill to our customers at the same time being safe. They want to enjoy life to the fullest, but within the safe margins to that extent. So this is where ADAS kicks in, and we put our best engine, our best foot forward on the engine side as well. We have an AX5L coming in here, our TGDI engine with class-leading fuel efficiency and acceleration at 4.4 for the AT and then 4.5 seconds for the MT 0 to 60. You get drive modes coming in here. You can see that we are now starting to throw literally everything in there. There's not much left for us to give. Level 2 ADAS comes in, and 360 surround view as well as EPB comes in as well. This is our AX5. AX5L, I'm sorry, AX5L. Why don't we show the AV a little bit quickly on what the variant looks like. So the variants I'm putting out now are the absolute top end in the segment. Competition doesn't have anything beyond this in this segment. Player number 1, your player number 2. So you can start to see there are some crosses we have, but really if you look at it, this is the top end AT variant. 14.79 for the number 1 player, the top end vehicle. And you can see that even at 14.79, they're not really putting much of a shine on us. Player 2, 13.98, and I'm going to stop saying what they have, but really very little for me to put out there. So again, this is the absolute top end of the segment people have, the competition has to that extent. 14.79 and 13.98 ADAS, entry-level ADAS for us. Okay, you guys get a sense why I called it segment shakers? We're not done yet. We have the empty variant of this as well. And I've shown the prices there, 13.59 and 12.58. This is the manual variant of the previous one I showed as well, 11.99. And just think about it, 11.99 for a level 2 ADAS. You guys can Google and find out where the next level 2 ADAS variant comes in. Small hint, it is not in this segment. Okay, I hope all of you have taken pictures. Good. Now, we sat back and said, what else can we give? And we said, listen, now you're at a point where you got to do something which is totally different. And there are customers who are left-brained, and there are customers who are right-brained. And the right-brained customers are people who want to take a starry drive. They want to have a panoramic passion. They want to live life full size. They want a panoramic sunroof to experience the outdoors. At the same time, we also wanted to attract the left brain. Folks who look at the data sheet, they're like, okay, what is the room you have? How much space you have in the vehicle? What other features will I get? How do I compare it with the best I can buy? But I don't want to really spend so much money. So the next set of variants is all about giving literally everything out there, not in this segment. We have left the segment now. We are now outside the segment. And we have AX7. Everything I put out here from now on is things which are category leading. Skyroof, and you would have seen it in the promotions we have put out there. Comes with a Harman Kardon branded audio speaker in the space, R17 diamond cut alloys, 65-watt USB-C charger. You can charge your laptop with this. This is folks who want everything and more. Leatherette dashboard, door trims, soft IP coming in as well. Okay, so what do I compare this with? So we wanted to be a little bit cheeky. We didn't have much to compare with in the segment. So let's go to the next segment, the C segment. Find a comparable player. This is the #1 C segment SUV player. We found the right variant so that we are able to compare on a few things. And I'll spend a little bit of time on this one, why we picked it up. Of course, the only thing, if you look at it from the space perspective, the width I said, we are even in the space, we are actually better width than the competition, the C segment space. And if you look at the other metrics out there, the leg room and the hip room, we're just a few millimeters this way, that way. We are almost there, within touching distance of what a C segment looks like. Boot space is an area where we are lower, but as Velosan showed you, young family, 2 adults, 2 kids, the suitcases we could put in there, there's plenty for you to go on a 5-day, 10-day trip. So that's not an issue for us. So we conserved space and put it where it really counts. That's really what we have engineered here with. And then the rest of it is Harman Kardon audio we have connected car features, 26 centimeter infotainment and cluster, and you can see the comparison against that. They have the skyroof. So this is literally the variant we could pick which had the skyroof, the lowest price skyroof out there in the C segment. And it comes at 14.35. X7, 12.49 for the first pano sunroof. All right. I'll keep going. I promise you this is the last one. I'm out of time here, so I'm going to go quickly here. We want to do more. We want to add more to this. And this segment we are calling size to perfection. I'll give you a quick example. The clue is in the back. We think of this variant as our iPhone mini. And if you remember iPhone mini for a couple of years ago, if you looked at it, the screen size was growing constantly. And people were at some point saying, you know what, I want everything which is in that iPhone, but I don't want a large screen. And that's how the idea of an iPhone mini came. It doesn't compromise on anything at all, but fits your hand perfectly to that extent, right? And we were showing the vehicle to one of our senior leaders associated to the Mahindra group, and she was looking at the vehicle and said, listen, I always wanted to buy a 700. I wanted all the features, but it's just too big for me. This is a perfect car for me, right? So this is size to perfection, doesn't compromise on anything, yet within the space that you want for a small vehicle in an urban setting. So this is our AX7L. And you see all of the pieces there. So effectively, the only thing which gets added on top of it is the ADAS comes in, the 360 camera, and the rest of the features are what I talked about as well. So now I'm going and comparing to the C segment leader in the space, their top-end variant. That's what this looks like. And the reason I'm doing that, you can see the number of reds against us to what it is. It's quite a telling story if you look at it, right? We are now hitting against their absolute top-end variant. They weigh in at 17.27 lakhs. So I'm going to go back to the question I started with. Segment shakers. Was I too presumptuous? I hope you're convinced that these are segment shakers variants we put out there. So I'll move on. So this is everything our customers have told they want, and we've added more on top of it as well. So